HOA tried banning helicopter noise. I flew a Chinook over their meeting with full volume on. Have you ever wondered what happens when a neighborhood's self-appointed guardians push their power too far? In the quiet suburb of Willow Creek, Karen Mitchell, the iron-fisted president of the Homeowners Association, thought she could silence the skies. Her latest crusade? Banning the nuisance of helicopter flyovers from a nearby National Guard base. But when she tried to flex her authority, she didn't expect a thunderous response literally that would shake her world to its core. Karen Mitchell was the kind of HOA president who thrived on control. Armed with a clipboard and a rulebook thicker than a dictionary, she patrolled Willow Creek like a hawk, issuing fines for unmowed lawns, unapproved mailbox colors, and even excessive holiday decorations. Her latest obsession was the low, rumbling roar of Chinook helicopters from the nearby Fort Bradley, where the National Guard conducted routine training. The massive twin-rotor beasts flew over Willow Creek a few times a month, their deep whump-whump shaking windows and startling dogs. To most residents, it was a minor inconvenience, a reminder of the sacrifices made by those who served. To Karen, it was a personal affront. "This noise is lowering our property values," she declared at the HOA's monthly meeting, her voice shrill enough to rival a siren. She'd already drafted a petition to the base commander, demanding the helicopters reroute or, better yet, stop flying altogether. "We deserve peace and quiet," she insisted, ignoring the murmurs of dissent from neighbors who thought she was overreacting. But Karen wasn't alone in her campaign. She'd rallied a small but vocal group of allies, including her neighbor, Linda, who claimed the helicopter noise gave her migraines, and Bob, a retired accountant who just wanted something to complain about. Together, they bombarded Fort Bradley with letters, citing health concerns and community standards. They even managed to schedule a meeting with the base's public relations officer, confident their demands would be met. After all, who could resist the might of the Willow Creek HOA? Karen strutted into the community center for the next HOA meeting, her petition now boasting 50 signatures, ready to announce her victory. "We're going to show those military types who's in charge," she boasted, adjusting her perfectly pressed blazer. Unbeknownst to Karen, her petition had reached the desk of Captain Jake Hawk Thompson, a seasoned Chinook pilot at Fort Bradley with a reputation for both skill and a mischievous streak. Jake had grown up in a small town not unlike Willow Creek, and he'd seen his fair share of overzealous HOAs. When he read Karen's letter complete with phrases like unacceptable disturbance and disrespect to our community, he couldn't help but chuckle. "They think they can ban military training flights?" he said to his co-pilot, Sarah, over coffee in the mess hall. "These folks need a reality check." Sarah, who dealt with her own HOA headaches back home, grinned. "You thinking what I'm thinking?" she asked. Jake nodded, already forming a plan. The base was scheduled for a low-altitude training run that week, and the flight path just happened to pass over Willow Creek. Why not make it memorable? The twist came from an unexpected source. Emily, a quiet single mom who lived on Maple Drive and rarely spoke at HOA meetings. Emily worked as a civilian mechanic at Fort Bradley and had overheard Karen's complaints during a lunch break. She knew the helicopters weren't just noisy machines, they were lifelines, used for everything from disaster relief to troop transport. Emily had seen Chinook's airlift supplies to flood victims and evacuate injured soldiers. Karen's petition felt like a slap in the face to her and her colleagues. So, when she heard Jake was planning a special flyover, she decided to get involved. She slipped him a copy of the HOA's meeting schedule, whispering, "Make it loud, Jake." Her involvement was a secret, even from her neighbors, but it gave her a quiet thrill to know she was part of the rebellion. The night of the HOA meeting arrived, and the community center was packed. Karen stood at the podium, her PowerPoint presentation titled Operation Silent Skies, glowing on the screen. She was mid-sentence, railing about the audacity of the military ignoring our rights, when a low, ominous rumble filled the air. The windows rattled, the floor vibrated, and the crowd froze. Karen's voice faltered as the noise grew louder, closer, until it was a bone-shaking roar. Outside, Jake's Chinook thundered over the community center at a perfectly legal 500 feet, its twin rotors chopping the air with a force that felt like a storm. The sound was deafening, a visceral reminder of the machine's power. Inside, Karen's notes fluttered off the podium, and Linda clutched her pearls, shouting, "This is an outrage!" But the rest of the room erupted in gasps and cheers, some rushing to the windows to catch a glimpse of the massive helicopter silhouetted against the dusk. Jake didn't just fly over once. He circled back, as if to say, "You wanted our attention? You've got it." The Chinook's roar drowned out Karen's attempts to regain control, her microphone useless against the onslaught. For 5 glorious minutes, the helicopter dominated the skies, its sound a defiant middle finger to the HOA's demands. Neighbors poured out of the community center, phones raised, snapping videos and laughing in awe. Even Bob, Karen's loyal ally, couldn't hide his excitement, muttering, "That's one hell of a bird." Emily stood quietly in the back, a sly smile on her face as she watched Karen's face turn redder than her blazer. When the Chinook finally banked away, leaving only a fading rumble, Karen tried to salvage the meeting. "This is exactly why we need to stop them," she shrieked. But the room wasn't listening. The mood had shifted. Neighbors started speaking up, emboldened by the spectacle. "Those helicopters are out there keeping us safe," said Tom, a retired firefighter. "My son's in the Guard. You think he's a nuisance?" Others nodded, sharing stories of how the base had supported the community during hurricanes and wildfires. Emily, usually too shy to speak, stepped forward. "I work at Fort Bradley," she said, her voice steady. "Those noisy helicopters save lives. Maybe instead of complaining, we should be grateful." The room burst into applause, leaving Karen speechless. The fallout was swift and brutal. Karen's petition, once her pride and joy, became a laughingstock. The base commander sent a polite but firm response, explaining that military training flights were non-negotiable for national security. He also invited the HOA to a tour of Fort Bradley to better understand our mission. Humiliated, Karen doubled down, threatening to escalate her complaint to a congressman, but her allies were deserting her. Linda claimed her migraines were suddenly better, and Bob admitted he'd signed the petition just to shut Karen up. At the next HOA meeting, attendance was sparse, and Karen's attempt to revisit Operation Silent Skies was met with groans. She resigned as president a month later, citing personal reasons. But everyone knew the truth. The Chinook had broken her. The story didn't end there. Inspired by the flyover, Willow Creek's residents started a community group to support Fort Bradley. They organized fundraisers for veterans and even hosted a helicopter day, where kids got to tour a grounded Chinook, courtesy of Jake and his crew. Emily became the group's unofficial leader, her quiet courage earning her respect she'd never sought. Jake, meanwhile, became a local legend, his flyover immortalized in viral videos tagged Chinook Checkmate. For the first time in years, Willow Creek felt like a community, not a battleground. So what do you think? Was Karen's crusade for silence a reasonable fight for her community? Or did she overstep by trying to control the skies? And was Jake's thunderous response a justified clapback or a step too far? Share your thoughts, because in Willow Creek, the echoes of that Chinook are still ringing.